It is Wednesday, the 9th day of August 2023. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch and Hope TV, the station where you look and live. Sitting in for Melissa Odor, I'm Tess Njenga, and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. We have prepared a packed bulletin for you, so just sit back and relax and let us bring you the day's news. Also stick around for our special business segment, Lessons from an Entrepreneur, featuring the Muharata agri-machinery with Melissa Odor. Let's kick off. The Kenya Kwanza government and the opposition have today begun a fresh round of talks to solve the political stalemate following the collapse of the first bipartisan talks. Speaking during the meeting at the Bomas of Kenya in Nairobi, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka said that as a coalition, they will not negotiate for any form of power sharing. As our very own Kennedy Kimani now reports, the agreement to hold the talks came after former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo brokered a truce between President William Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga.
With the collapse of the first round of the bipartisan talks that was to solve the political stalemate between the Kenya Kwanza government and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition, both sides of the political divide today began another round of fresh talks comprising of a new 10-member joint committee led by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah. The meeting, which took place at the Bomas of Kenya, began with a moment of silence to remember the lives lost during the anti-government protests.
As a coalition and the interests of the nation, we therefore commit that we shall, number one, negotiate in good faith and genuinely seek a just outcome for all Kenyans. Secondly, seek solutions that address the rights and interests of all Kenyans now and in the future.
We know that our country is more important than any one of us. And we've been sent here by the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, to come and sit with our brothers to find a solution to the issues that are being brought on the table.
Among the agendas of discussion include the cost of living, the audit of the 2022 presidential election results, restructuring and reconstitution of the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, and related matters.
We have agreed that we will begin the dialogue process once we frame the agenda items, and I think we should be ready with that by Monday. As agreed, we will have the secretariat that will be supported by Parliament. For secretarial services, we also have technical committees backing up each of our teams and rapporteurs on either side. And we have indicated also that we will be engaging on the basis of mutual respect, all in the interest of our nation.
We've agreed to set up, there will be two technical teams on both sides with a rapporteur on both sides. And we have agreed that the speakers of parliament will provide the answered reporters. We thought that is very important because subsequently we expect there will be documents generated and they will require presentation perhaps on the floor of both houses.
The agreement to hold the talks came after former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo brokered a truce between President William Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga.
With them introduce as we move on.
Even as the talks begin, Azimio have said that they will not negotiate for any form of power sharing.
We shall not negotiate, and this is important for us, for any form of power sharing with the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, or put any personal interest ahead of the interests of our people.
With both sides of the divide agreeing on the agenda items, the inaugural meeting held today here at the Bomas of Kenya sets the stage for the talks, which are set to officially begin on Monday next week. Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch at the Bomas of Kenya, Nairobi.
Thank you, Kennedy Kimani, for that report. Now, moving on, the Salaries and Remunerations Commission, SRC, has announced a 7% to 10% increase in civil servant salaries. According to the SRC chairperson, Lynn Mengich, the salary increases will be backdated to July 1st this year. And as Alice Diana reports, President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua will not receive a salary increase in the 2023-2024 salary increment for public and state officers, following their request that their salaries should not be reviewed.
Good morning, everyone.
Government employees have a reason to smile after the Salaries and Remunerations Commission, SRC, approved their salary increase that will take effect from July 1st this year, 2023.
The decision or above.
According to SRC, the salary review is based on the growth momentum that picked up immediately after COVID-19.
The final phase of
Addressing journalists on Wednesday, SRC chairperson Lynn Mengich said the National Treasury has allocated 21.7 billion shillings for the year 2023-2024 to undertake the exercise.
In 2022, the economy sustained the growth momentum that started in 2021 after the recovery from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, a review for the third and fourth year of the review cycle.
According to the budget distribution for salary review for state and public officers, teachers will get the lion's share of the pay rise, with the Teachers Service Commission allocated 44.2% of the total amount, followed by security sector at 20.9%, while county governments will get 18.8%. Civil services and state officers will get 8.5% and 4.3% respectively.
the most important point to make, to take, is to know that the 21.7 billion is adding to the wage bill. So the whole issue is, can you afford it? Can the National Treasury afford it? You are adding to the wage, to the total wage bill. And that is something that you should carry in mind. It is not something, and it's going to be, as soon as you put it now, it's going to be there in perpetuity, isn't it? There's no time you come and say, please remove the 21.7 billion. Now that, no, it will be there for a long time, so we have to continue budgeting it. And we are budgeting that for this year, and a similar amount for the next year, because we are conscious that we have to come down to the realities that the public sector workers are suffering just because of the shocks that have hit the economy. Some of those shocks were supply related.
President William Ruto's and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua's salaries will, however, be retained. SRC boss stated that the commission honored Ruto's request that his and his deputy's salaries not to be reviewed. This means that the president's salary will remain at 1.44 million shillings and the DP's salary will remain at 1.22 million shillings. The increments proposal wanted the president to earn 1.54 million shillings and the DP to earn 1.36 million shillings. In its review, SRC has also scrapped 3 allowances payable to government employees in what it says is a bid to cut down the wage bill. Mengich argues that the allowances in addition to basic salary amounts to double compensation.
Payment of retreat allowance in addition to the basic salary amounts to double compensation and consequently ceases. Payment of sitting allowance for institutional internal committees in addition to the basic salary amounts to double compensation and consequently ceases to be payable. Number 3, task force allowance for institutional internal committees. So payment of this allowance in addition to the basic salary amounts to double compensation and consequently ceases to be payable.
SRC is now urging all public service institutions to improve on productivity and together deliver the country's agenda for the benefit of its citizens.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Alice Diana, Hope TV Newswatch.
Pressure is over.
Thank you, Alice Diana, for that report. President William Ruto has once again reaffirmed that there will be no compromise to grant the opposition leaders a handshake, even as leaders from Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya have today resumed their planned bipartisan talks. Ruto, who was speaking in Nyeri County, has at the same time wrapped up his 5-day tour of the Mount Kenya region by commissioning various government projects, including the Narumoru Level 4 Hospital in Kieni constituency. And as Grace Ahati now reports, the head of state has lauded the launch of the facility, stating that it will go a long way in offering health services to the locals and neighboring communities.
President William Ruto's 5-day visit to the Mount Kenya region has come to an end, with the head of state once again stating that his administration will not compromise with the opposition to grant them a power sharing deal, commonly known as the handshake.
Unajua, Your Excellency.
Speaking in Kieni constituency, Nyeri County, while commissioning the Narumoru Level 4 hospital, President Ruto has noted that it is time to put politics aside and serve the interests of the citizens.
Kwa hii serikali hakuna handshake. Hii serikali hakuna nusu mkate. Kama kuna kazi imebaki ni kazi ya hawa vijana ndio tuwafanyie kazi. Si ndio? Si nyinyi kama wananchi mlimaliza kazi ya viongozi? Si tarehe 9 mlienda kupiga foleni? Mkachagua MCA, mkachagua wabunge, gavana, rais, mkamaliza. Kuna yenye mlibakisha?
The president has at the same time denounced all forms of violence in the country, cautioning the youth against being misused by political players to cause mayhem and destruction of property.
Kenya will never again entertain currency around violence. Violence can never be part of the currency of the political equation of the Republic of Kenya. Tumekubaliana ya kwamba mambo ya vita, kama ni mashindano, tushindane kwa mawazo, tushindane kwa mpango. Na hawa watu tuliwashinda mapema. So walikuwa wanazunguka hapa na kitendawili sijui na nini tukawanyorosha waende nyumbani.
While commissioning the Narumoru Level 4 hospital, Ruto further noted the government will support the medical needs of the residents through training, equipping and remunerating medical workers to serve households effectively at the village level and Nyeri County at large. During his tour, the president also made a stopover in Kirinyaga County and launched the Gichugu Affordable Housing Project.
We have agreed the national government is going to support the county government of Nyeri in making sure that there are additional medical personnel and health personnel, clinical officers, nurses, watu wa pharmacy, madaktari, ili hospitali yenu iweze kuwashughulikia na mahitaji yenu yote ya mambo ya afya ya watu wa hapa Narumoru na Nyeri County.
With Dr. William Ruto na Rigeji.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Grace Ahati.
Much appreciated, Grace Ahati. The government is narrowing down on those behind the controversial WorldCoin activities in the country. According to Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki, the government has already mapped all individuals behind the registrations of citizens through a collection of eyeball or iris data. While appearing before the National Assembly Committee, the Cabinet Secretary has told Parliament that the local agents of the foreign firm have already recorded statements and the security agencies are currently pursuing the accomplices who are out of the country. Meanwhile, property and businesses worth millions were lost in Kisumu County during the anti-government demonstrations. The business community was the hardest hit as shops were looted and various properties destroyed.
On the question whether the Business Registration Services Department or the Registrar of Business Names had registered this company, the answer is in the negative. However, I would like to bring to the attention of the House, Honorable Speaker, that this entity appeared to have carried its operations through a Kenyan agency. In other words, the company itself, although the company had been registered as a controller of data, the actual operations of processing data and harvesting data seems to have been coordinated through an agency, a properly registered business owned and managed by Kenyans. And I think that clarification will be important. Nevertheless, the fact that officials of WorldCoin visited Kenya, and so far we have established that they carried out certain activities around supervising what was going on, definitely implies liability on their part, whether or not the entity was involved directly or not.
Governor Johnson Sakaja and his deputy Njoroge Mushiri have this morning led the Nairobi County staff members to a meal sampling of the Dishia County initiative. The exercise, courtesy of the 60K capacity Giga Kitchen, comes ahead of the school feeding program launch later this month. Speaking during the exercise, Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja has noted that the initiative will benefit thousands of poor pupils. The parents who were present at the function have expressed their appreciation to the governor for the initiative, saying that they believe that consistent access to food in school will enable students to concentrate better on their studies.
Hii chakula ni tamu sana. Karibuni tukule wote pamoja. Leo siwezi kula chakula baridi, ila nimeleta kwa nyumba. Nitakula hii na nimefurahia sana.
Leo tunatafuta place ya kula, sio? At least tumesaidika for the day. Tuko sawa kabisa. Tunashukuru.
Mimi nafurahia sana juu ya hii mambo ya dishi na county. Hii mambo bado itakuwa imepunguzia wazazi gharama. Juu unapata kwa shule sana mzazi anaitishwa 50 kwa siku. Ukiwa na watoto 4, lazima wewe kama mzazi ukuwe na 200 ndio watoto washibe. Lakini na shilingi 5, ukiwa na watoto 4 na 20 bob, watoto wanakula. Hapo tunashukuru sana bwana governor. At least pia tunaona kwenye ushuru yetu inaenda. Nashukuru sana.
I have grandkids in primary school, so I just wanted to get a feeling of what we'll be eating, and it's okay. It's healthy, no so much salt, no a lot of fat. It's good for the kids.
No, iko sawa iko sawa. It's good for the children.
Tuseme kama sisi kwa wazazi tulikuwa tunalipa mbao, sasa ni ilikuwa imeongezwa 30 bob. Sasa kama food imeletwa kwa shule, yafueni kwa sisi kama wazazi. Food iko poa na watoto na iko gangari.
Quite a great initiative for the students in Nairobi County. And on that note, let us take our very first break on Newswatch tonight. Don't go too far. We'll be back with plenty more.
Thank you for consistently tuning in to watch and listen to our content both on Hope TV and Hope FM. You are the reason why we are on air. The CBS Family Service now comes to you every Sunday at 4 p.m. on Hope TV, Hope FM, and on Sitam Church Online.
The Holy Spirit will empower our prayer lives.
Our mission is to know God and to make Him known through evangelism and discipleship.
CBS Family Service on Hope FM and Hope TV, where you look and live.
Ukisoma historia ya Siratu Muhammad ambayo imeandikwa na Sheikh Abdullah Saleh Farsi, Muislamu wa kwanza duniani tunaambiwa ni Khadija bin Khuwailid.
The house Jacob does not believe, and again I say, does not believe in anybody being God. No.
Mwanadamu atakayeji submit kwa will ya Mwenyezi Mungu, huyo anakuwa ni Muislamu. Jini vile vile atakayeji submit freely ataamua kufuata sheria ya Mungu.
Adui ni shetani. Christ was not crucified because his disciples, the Lord said that no, he was taken to heaven. Yesu alikuwa anaenda msikitini na alikuwa ni Muislamu kulingana na Biblia hiyo.
Hakuna mahali katika kitabu cha Biblia kuanzia mwanzo hadi ufunuo neno moja.
Welcome back. Now, a truck driver has died at Sakaja area on the Webuye-Malaba Highway in Bungoma County after his truck burst into flames. According to eyewitnesses, the accident occurred after the trailer lost direction, hitting an electric post. The locals have pointed an accusing finger at the leadership of Bungoma County, claiming that the fire extinguishing vehicle arrived late. further requesting the county government to increase more facilities in the disaster dealing unit so that they do their job better. Police Commander for Bungoma County, Francis Corley, has confirmed the case, claiming that the trailer exploded and even efforts to try to save the driver were unsuccessful because the fire had already spread in the area. Corley has, however, warned the locals against moving into the scene of accident, claiming that it was a danger to their safety.
Lori mrefu ya trailer ilikuwa imegonga mtu wa boda. Kidogo tu polisi walikuja kusaidia hali na baadaye wakaambia huyu driver kuondoka. Nadhani kwa sababu ya uoga kwamba anaweza kushambuliwa na umati, driver aliondoka pasipo kujali watumizi wengine wa barabara, na hiyo ilichangia kwamba akakonga wanafunzi ambao walikuwa kwa bodaboda. Wanafunzi walikuwa 3 kwa bodaboda moja. Wanafunzi 2 ni wa hii shule wavulana pamoja na msichana ambaye anasoma kwa shule ya Moi DB. Huyo msichana wa Moi DB pamoja na mwanafunzi wa hii shule walifariki papo hapo. Huyu kijana wa 3 ambaye alipata majeraha mengi alikimbizwa hospitalini ambapo anaendelea kupata matibabu.
Yesterday we received 2 patients who had been involved in a road traffic accident. It is one middle-aged man and a child. Currently we have stabilized them. All of them are in stable condition. They suffered multiple soft tissue injuries as a result of following the accident, and currently we are managing the wounds and also the pain that the patients have.
Tunaomba tu Bungoma County government, please, Ken Makelo Lusaka ambia watu yako ya simamoto wachali maslaha ya wananchi. Tangu saa 12 kari inawaka, wananchi wanapika nduru. Simamoto inakuja saa 2:30 na wako na kwota ya maji kwa gari.
Our able team here that responded timely from the county government, the firefighters actually came at the right time. Although these were not in terms of being flammable, then you'll realize that we can do nothing much, but actually focus on just controlling the fire from spreading to the nearby, maybe to these residents who are living within, and also now taking care of the scene so that it's not becoming dangerous to Kenyans.
The National Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse Authority, NACADA, has launched an investigation following reports of the presence and use of fentanyl drugs in coastal counties. According to Director of NACADA, Professor John Muteti, has revealed that a group of investigators has been sent to different areas of coastal counties to determine if the drug is being used and spread among residents. According to experts, fentanyl is a drug that is up to 50 times more powerful than heroin and 100 times more powerful than morphine, and contributes to the highest percentage of abuse in the United States. In addition, according to the Director General of the Reach Out Trust, Taib Abdul Rahman, the problem of young people using and mixing more powerful drugs is rampant on the coast, thus forcing experts to do more than one test to determine which drug the drug victim is using.
Tumefanya reinforcement sasa kuleta timu kutoka Pharmacy and Poisons Board, government chemists, tumeleta the CSOs wamekuwa on the ground, the county government and the national government. Sasa reinforce hiyo ili tupate enough information. Na in 14 days tutakuwa tumeweza kuwa tumeshafanya analysis, na tukifanya analysis sasa tutaweza kutoa taarifa. We want to know ikiwa kweli hii ni dawa zile zinasemekana zinatoka wapi, so that we can find the origin, the keys, and we block whatever this is coming from. Because most of these madawa sana pengine zinatoka actually the prescription drugs zinatoka mahospitali. Kwa hivyo pengine there is some leakage inaweza kuwa. So those are the kind of things we want to find out.
Intergovernmental Authority on Development AGAD region, key stakeholders have today raised issues on the risk transfer and transboundary pest management. Speaking after a meeting with representatives from AGAD's member states, ministries of agriculture and other stakeholders, the leaders have emphasized the significance of cooperation and collaboration among stakeholders in tackling the intricacies of risk transfer and transboundary pest management. The leaders have also underscored the necessity of cohesive efforts to foster policies and institutions that could withstand and adapt to changing environmental conditions.
This region has seen in the last few years disasters of climatic natures that are coming up more often. If you go back to the major droughts that we have seen in this region, one was 2010, 2011. The next one was 16, 17. And then we had from late 20 to 2022. So every 5 years we are seeing a really major drought. And the region economy is mainly dependent on rainfed agriculture and pastoralism, both dependent on rain, climate. So what we are trying to popularize in the region is the issue of microinsurance.
Sana sana hao wadudu huwa si ati wako pahali pamoja. Kwa hivyo huwa tuseme wanatembea na hawajui mipaka, hawajui kile wanatafuta ni chakula. Kwa hivyo hii mkutano ni ya maana sana kwetu, vile inabidi tuketi pamoja tuulizane hawa wadudu hasa wale huwa wanavuka mipaka tutawamanage namna gani. Na kwanza ujue tunaweza kaa kama Kenya peke yetu tumenyamaza, Ethiopia wamenyamaza, wengine wamenyamaza, lakini wakati innovation itakuja tutaanza kuumia kivyetu. Lakini tukiketi pamoja tuelewane, sasa ndio tutakuwa tunaulizana mumewaona wapi. Kama wamepatikana Somalia, tunashikana mkono.
Now, political leaders from Changamwe constituency are putting pressure on Mombasa Governor Abdul Samad Nasir to have one of their own enlisted in the county executive. The leaders say despite their votes, they have been sidelined by successive regimes and no person from Changamwe has ever been appointed as county executive member of chief officer. They want the position of chief officer for renewable energy and natural resources, whose nominee John Kiprop was rejected by the Mombasa County Assembly on August 1st. Kiprop was among 16 chief officer nominees by Governor Nasir presented to the Assembly for approval in February. However, the MCAs rejected him, citing lack of clarity in documents he submitted. Now, the Changamwe leaders, led by Member of Parliament Omar Mwinyi, says it is time the county chiefs reward Changamwe for their loyalty and votes.
Tunataka tuwaelezee ya kwamba in Changamwe tumeenda beyond ya kupewa pesa, tunataka tupewe kazi, ama sivyo? Tupewe tenda na tuweze kutafuta pesa sisi wenyewe. Ndani ya Changamwe tatizo letu kubwa ni elimu ya watoto wetu. Na ikiwa hilo tatizo litaweza kuangaziwa, then sisi tutakuwa tumeelewa kwa nini tumechagua gavana.
Ndani ya Mombasa sisi tuna watoto wetu ambao wamesoma, ambao wana tajriba ya uongozi, ambao wanaweza kuchukua nafasi ambayo yule kijana alikuwa amekuja kuchukua ndani ya Mombasa. Lakini nawapongeza wabunge wetu pale ndani ya county. Mumempiga ngwala, sasa sisi tunamwambia gavana tuletee mtoto wetu wa hapa tunayemjua, tunayemuelewa. Sisi tunataka to improve Mombasa. If we really need to improve Mombasa, then we need the sons of the soil to take over that Mombasa County.
Ukisoma historia ya Siratu Muhammad ambayo imeandikwa na Sheikh Abdullah Saleh Farsi, Muislamu wa kwanza duniani tunaambiwa ni Khadija bint Walid.
The house Govt does not believe, and again I say, does not believe in anybody being God. No.
Mwanadamu atakayeji submit kwa will ya Mwenyezi Mungu, huyo anakuwa ni Muislamu. Jini vile vile atakayeji submit freely akaamua kufuata sheria ya Mungu anakuwa ni Muislamu.
Adui huyu ni shetani na majini.
Christ was not crucified at all because his close disciple Barnabas said that no, he was taken live to heaven.
Yesu alikuwa anaenda msikitini na alikuwa ni Muislamu kulingana na Biblia yenu.
Hakuna mahali katika kitabu cha Biblia kuanzia mwanzo hadi Ufunuo neno moja Uislamu.
Kama vile mashua baharini, mizani imekwisha wasili. Mara hii kila Alhamisi.
Salata kabisa, mpenzi mtazamaji, mpenzi msikilizaji wa Mizani.
Tungependa Wakenya waende kwenye nchi ambazo tuko na mikataba nao.
Ulikuwa na Raila Odinga, ukawa na Wajakoya pia. Mbona hongeunga mkono?
Tupima uzani wa masuala ibuka na chupukayo toka kila pembe ya Kenya na ukanda huu wa Afrika. Yawe mambo au vijimambo, jiongea na kutaarifu na kuarifu zako fikra. Kila Alhamisi saa 1 machweo kwenye runinga ya Hope TV.
Nitamu.
Tukutane Mizani.
And across our borders, the World Bank will not consider new loans to Uganda after the East African country earlier this year enacted an anti-gay bill that rights groups and others have condemned. The anti-gay legislation, which prescribes the death penalty for some homosexual acts, was signed into law in May. It has widespread support at home, and Ugandan officials have been defiant amidst concern that partners such as the World Bank and others might withdraw resources over the legislation. Some officials have suggested that the funding threats are inappropriate. The UN Human Rights Office has said the Ugandan law is draconian and discriminatory, describing it as a recipe for systemic violations of the rights of the LGBTQ+ people and others, with the US warning of economic consequences. And on that note, let us take a very short break and we will be back with business news.
Ukisoma historia ya Siratu Muhammad ambayo imeandikwa na Sheikh Abdullah Saleh Farsi, Muislamu wa kwanza duniani tunaambiwa ni Khadija bint Walid.
The house Govt does not believe, and again I say, does not believe in anybody being God. No.
Mwanadamu atakayeji submit kwa will ya Mwenyezi Mungu, huyo anakuwa ni Muislamu. Jini vile vile atakayeji submit freely akaamua kufuata sheria ya Mungu anakuwa ni Muislamu.
Adui huyu ni shetani na majini.
Christ was not crucified at all because his close disciple Barnabas said that no, he was taken live to heaven.
Yesu alikuwa anaenda msikitini na alikuwa ni Muislamu kulingana na Biblia yenu.
Hakuna mahali katika kitabu cha Biblia kuanzia mwanzo hadi Ufunuo neno moja Uislamu.
Kama vile mashua baharini, mizani imekwisha wasili. Mara hii kila Alhamisi.
Salata kabisa, mpenzi mtazamaji, mpenzi msikilizaji wa Mizani.
Tungependa Wakenya waende kwenye nchi ambazo tuko na mikataba nao.
Ulikuwa na Raila Odinga, ukawa na Wajakoya pia. Mbona hongeunga mkono?
Tupima uzani wa masuala ibuka na chupukayo toka kila pembe ya Kenya na ukanda huu wa Afrika. yawe mambo au vijimambo, jiongea na kutaarifu na kuarifu zako fikra. Kila Alhamisi saa 1 machweo kwenye runinga ya Hope TV.
Mitamu.
Tukutane mizani.
Welcome back. We apologize for that slight confusion. Now, in today's episode of Lessons from an Entrepreneur, we bring you the story of an agro-processing business that is now being operated by the second generation of the family of Muthoni Kamau. Muthoni now leads the team at Muharata Agri-Machinery, a company that fabricates post-harvest agricultural machinery. She shares the story of the 40-year-old company located in Kariobangi along Outer Ring Road in Nairobi County with our news editor, Melissa Oduor.
The story of Muharata is the story of fabricated machinery used by farmers at post-harvest level. Now, Muthoni Kamau takes us through the journey of the formation of this family business that is now celebrating 40 years in existence. You know your Kisiagi, right? This is where you'll find it. Here is Lessons from an Entrepreneur. My name is Melissa Oduor.
My name is Muthoni Kamau. I run Muharata Food Company Limited. It's a family business. That's the name Muharata. It's a clan name. And the business started in the early 80s, but was incorporated, registered in 83. So we have a birthday from 83. And we are turning 40 this year. We are excited. And we fabricate equipment for farmers, for businessmen, for agro-processing from after the farm. So we don't do on-farm machinery, but we do a lot of off-farm machinery. Right from threshing, to processing of oils, seeds, grains, and many others. This business was started by my parents, mainly my father, in the early 80s. He was working for the then Kenya Bus Services and gave a lady a lift. She was going somewhere to Siaga, and many kilometers to go in Siaga. So the fact that there was no posho mill nearby brought about the issue of how come there are no posho mills. And during the Moi era, there was, you could not move maize from one district to another without a permit. So there was a need to have posho mills in those specific districts. So that's how the business grew. From the idea of that woman, he gave a lift. I don't know how I wish I could meet her one day, because that's why we are here. So we started from one posho mill, which was mainly just milling. We were a milling business, and that's the name Muharata Food. We were a milling business, but the machinery side grew and, took over. Yeah, but we still do milling.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the range of products that you have currently that you're able to provide?
Oh, we have a huge range, because our main products are both for animal feed production and for food production, that is milling of flours from any grains, any dry grains. But we do other equipment. Customers come in with YouTube videos of what they would want, and so we have become the Chinese in Kenya. Yeah, we fabricate from what people are thinking in their minds, and for most of what our customers bring to us, we've managed to do the machines. They are working. Yeah.
So the point where somebody comes with an idea, I have this machine that I want done. So take us through that whole process where they have come with the thought. So what happens? What does Muharata then do?
So when a customer comes with this idea of a machine they want to process something, we have a small team where we sit. We have a team of engineers, and these engineers are all NYS trained. And we have a team of other engineers who are not NYS trained, and now the management because of costing. So we sit down and design this machine, mainly go to the internet and see how other people are doing them. We try not to reinvent the wheel, see what somebody else has done out there and how we can now customize it for this environment and for, spares or things that they will get locally. So we have a team that sits down, does the drawing to the end, then costs it for the customer to now make the order.
So right now, the farmers, the people in the agribusiness, are being discouraged from shipping machines from countries like China. Talk about that. Do we have locally made solutions to our locally formed problems?
We have a lot of locally fabricated equipment. Right from Juakali to companies like us, there are many that exist. And so one, importing machines, you're killing your own. And even the Chinese, before they started exporting to us, they first fed their own farmers. And that's why they are food secure. So even for us, if we only could support our own, because our own one is taking care of employment, our own livelihoods. And the bigger factor is that once you buy a machine that is locally fabricated, then you're 100% sure of service after installation and spares. Because majority of equipment that comes from China, the problem is spares. And the downtime as you wait for that spare. If the spare is not available locally. So I would encourage people to purchase machines that are locally fabricated.
Talk to me about what Muharata does at the point where you have already made a machine. You're giving it to a farmer who probably has never worked a machine before. So what kind of support do you give them to ensure that first they're utilizing this machine for the very purpose that they bought it for, and maybe other components of it that is able to help them over and above maybe what they thought this machine could do?
So what happens when a farmer approaches us and tells us, I want a machine for this particular purpose, we may have a machine for that purpose and for many other purposes. So first we will introduce you to this machine that you want. You may want, for example, a thresher, but we may have a thresher which is coupled to a sheller, coupled to a miller, all those things. So we will, of course, this one costs slightly more than this. We will first introduce you to the two. Whichever is your choice. Once we have this machine delivered to your site or to your farm, we will have somebody coming with you. We will train you, and especially the user, on the maintenance, general maintenance. And if that individual is, mechanically empowered, we'll give them knowledge on even the major service in case it is required. So that machine gives you as little breakdown, because a machine is like a car. It will need service after every 5,000-10,000 kilometers. So we will give you the know-how of how to generally maintain that machine. And after all, our machines have a 1-year warranty. In case of a mechanical fault that is to the company, then we do a replacement.
What is Muharata doing to integrate technology?
In the recent past, there has been an upsurge of it. And even from government institutions and non-governmental institutions, who are some of our customers, but their end user, the beneficiaries of these machines, are these farmer groups. So their choice of using Muharata is because we work with this group. Ours is not just the sales. We work with these groups even after the purchase of the equipment. So when we talk about agribusiness and technology, many people will think about computers and mobile phones and things like that. But technology is even mechanization. It's what makes things easier. So I'll give, for example, we make dryers for vegetables, for tubers, for name it, even for charcoal briquettes. Now, if you take this machine to a certain group and they have been using a solar dryer, for example, if there is now electricity in that area, we are going to move to the next bit of technology and now put electricity in that dryer, and they can use electrical power, meaning they can work even when there is no sun. And we will put a dial on it, because that is where the technology of that particular group has probably reached them, that they can use a dial to increase and decrease the temperature. Once we reach to the technological part of it, that they can now use a digital platform, we will get there. We are not yet there. But we try to better ourselves and to keep up with trends, but not forgetting who our customer is, so that we can remain relevant. Exactly.
Yeah. We are now on the groundwork where the actual work gets to be done. Modoni, I'm meeting one of your engineers, but yeah, will tell us what he exactly does
All right. So meet Mr. Lando. Daniel Lando is one of our engineers here, and he's been here for quite a while. Wow. He's a long-serving member of staff, and I will hand over to him to take us through his workshop.
Sasa hapa what happens exactly? Tunaanza wapi? Mtu akishakuja na kazi yake mkaambiwa ndio hiyo kandarasi twende sasa.
Tunanunua materials. Tukishanunua materials, tunakuja tunachora. Tukishachora, tunapeleka zinakatwa. After kukatwa, tena tunakuja tunachora vile tunafaa kuweka hiyo mashini ifanyike. And then from there, there are some rollings zinafanyika. Kama ukiona kama hii ukiona tumechukua hiyo round imefanywa kuroliwa, na pia ukiangalia hapa imefanya kuroliwa. So after we have done our rolling, tunakuja tunaanza kuassemble, like tunaanza kuweld mashini ikichukua shape yake. And then after there are some other equipment zenye tunanunua, like kama hii ni mgokoihala, tunanunua grinding stones iko nje, tunanunua shafts zinapelekwa kwa mashini kama hii inaitwa lathe machine pale. Ikishachongwa vizuri, tuna assemble mashini pamoja, and then we are ready to go. We have our mgokoihala. Sasa hii tunaita pneumatic machine. Hii inatumia pressure, na ndio tutumie pressure ni kwamba tunatengeneza blower ambayo iko na nguvu, na hiyo blower yetu ikiwa na nguvu iko na pressure ya kutosha kuvuruta mahindi pasipo kuvunjwa pahali nyingine ama kuwa in contact na vitu ambazo hazitakikani. Sasa tuseme mahindi tukiweka pale chini vitavurutwa na blower. Hiyo blower ni sahihi tunaitengeneza. Ikivurutwa pale, blower itachukua hiyo mahindi yetu inaweka pale kwa roller mill pale. Hiyo roller mill tunakuwa tumeinunua kutoka nje kutengeneza hapa, but sasa hiyo ndio inafanya kazi ya kumill. Ikishafika pale kimiliwa kwa roller mill, unavurutwa tena na hiyo hewa, na hiyo hewa kazi yake ni ifanye unga ikitoka pale it's ready for packing. Kifanya packaging unga ikitoka kwa blower, fanye packaging direct, hiyo unga inaenda inaharibika. So kazi yetu ni ya kuweka hiyo pneumatic, pia inatusaidia ili unga yetu ikienda kwa soko kule, mtu akiipack isiwe unga ya kuharibika haraka.
These are the people I represent while I'm here. But her, my youngest sister, Saida, we work with her here. She's part of our really good technical brains. So this is my family. These are the people I represent.
Muharata is coming from a background of a family business and a rich legacy spanning into now 40 years. Talk to us about that and every other person who would want to run a family business. And ensure that the children and the children's children take it up.
Many family businesses in Kenya, I don't know about the rest of Africa, but many do not go beyond that first generation. And the issue is why? Is because many Africans choose not to talk about death and see death as taboo. I would wish to appeal to matriarchs and patriarchs who are the first generation of that business to talk to their heirs, their children, openly about how the business is run, so that you can create interest in that second generation to want to work in that place. Because the fact of the matter is that these businesses, once you incorporate the younger mind, the older mind, that exchange will grow from one generation to another, and thus moving from one customer base to another customer base. Now, for the patriarchs and matriarchs who start the businesses, giving that space of openness allows your children to want to be involved. Once they get involved, they start giving ideas. Please allow those ideas to happen, whether wrong or right, because that's the only way a child will learn, through a failure. I must say, my father allowed us to fail in many ways. But when you fail, when it happens to you, then that is when you you learn. In my language, we'll say, you only learn when you have done it yourself, when it has happened to you. Then that means you correct it and it becomes, you know. After that, I would say that keep books of accounts open. Don't hide too much, because we are not all here to last forever. If my father never used to keep things open to us, this place would not have gone on. We only closed on the day we buried him. We did not close a day before. We did not close the day after. We were open for business because business must go on. So my urge is for patriarchs and matriarchs to sit down with their children, talk about how the business is run, take ideas from them. Then that way there is continuation, because you are aware of what is going on and what needs to go on. After all, that is where your bread gets buttered. Yeah?
The story of Muharata is the story of the production of fabricated machinery used at the post-harvest level by farmers in the country. This is a story of a family business that has been bequeathed to children to carry it on, to offer solutions to farmers in Kenya. My name is Melissa Odor, and this is Lessons from an Entrepreneur.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries, with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station, with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Welcome back. Now in business, all is set for this year's Kirdam Half Marathon, which is set to be held on the 19th of August 2023 in Kabarnet, Baringo Central Constituency, Baringo County. The 2023 edition of the Kirdam Half Marathon and Road Race will be held on the 19th of this month in Kabarnet, Baringo County. According to the race chairperson Isaiah Cheritich, the theme for this year's edition is Athletics Against Climate Change, an effort to raise awareness of the climate change menace. This event will be held in Kabarnet town and feature 21 kilometers, 10 kilometers and 6 kilometer races, with prizes awarded to the top 10 athletes in both men's and women's categories. The winner of the 21 kilometers and 10 kilometer races will take home 250,000 shillings and 100,000 shillings respectively. Both races will be open to adults, seasoned athletes and road race lovers.
It is not only to run so that we get as many talented athletes participating, but also to raise money which would be channeled towards social empowerment activities. So before we run, we want to ensure that we've left our environment secure by increasing the forest cover. So we put a lot of emphasis on the tree planting activities.
Still in sports, KCB has continued with its preparations for the upcoming Kenya Institute of Bankers Interbank Sports scheduled for next month at the Kenya School of Monetary Studies. The bank is building its teams that will complete its various sports disciplines at the 37th edition of the tourney. KCB Group Director Marketing and Communication Rosalinda Gishuru noted that the bank is looking forward to improving its rankings during this year's competition, and that is why it has embarked on a rigorous selection process to build competitive teams that will represent the bank well. Over 25 sporting events are lined up for competition by various teams from member banks. These sports disciplines include football, tug of war, golf, chess, draughts, volleyball, basketball, snooker, squash, table tennis, athletics, and badminton, among others.
We feel good because we prepared well for the tournament. Though we have struggled a bit, but we thank God we've had 4 wins in a row. And we are very proud because so far we lead the group. In as much as we have a match tomorrow against the University of Nairobi boys, we believe that we're also going to play. We are preparing today for the match so that we can be able to win as well, so that we can have 100% group stage wins for this particular tournament. So the morale is very high in the camp. We have a good coach, and we have a lot of technical plans that we have, including formations that we're trying to put in today. We have seen the match between us and we saw the match between Kenya Banker Sacco and University of Nairobi boys, and so far we are just trying to find a tactical formation that will be able to assist us to counter them, so that we can be able to win tomorrow's match as well.
Now, Kariobangi Sharks will face off with Bidco United in the final of the second edition of the Elite Pre-Season Cup after edging out Sofapaka FC 2-1 in their last group matches at the Utali grounds this afternoon. Both teams had to play the final stages of the match with a man less each after Sofapaka's Jacob Adis Panwam and Sharks defender Guy Panchol were sent off in the dying minutes of the game after an altercation. The William Muluya coach sides finished the group unscathed, winning all their group matches against Posta Rangers, Sofapaka FC and Kajiado FC.
Wakati wakiingia tena Leon Levitt Otieno. Hatari kule langoni, jaza kitu ndani ya kamba hapa. Baada ya kuandaliwa pasi maridadi sana na Leon Levitt Otieno. Sajili mpya Victor Ngume.
Nafasi ile nzuri linapatikana hapa.
Well, that story brings us to the end of Newswatch tonight. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the whole team that has made this bulletin a success, we appreciate you. I'm Tess Njenga, and our sign language interpreter is Bondface Mureithi. God willing, see you tomorrow, same place, same time. Have a good night.